We're back on the Morgan Streetman Show. That was a really good rant, Morgan, and especially weaving in the components of 1984.
Yeah,
good stuff.
I mean, if you haven't read that book, folks, I mean, really, you ought to go out there and get it on Kindle or something, and you're just going to identify with it so much. You're going to see exactly what's going on in our society today. So, I mean, how did George Orwell so closely predict what we have today? I mean, and the scary thing is, I mean, it's a couple of, it's maybe 6 to 12 months beyond where we are. I mean, who knows how fast things are changing, or I should say with how fast things are changing. Who knows exactly where we're going to be in a year. I remember talking last year about the concept that by next year, July 4th is going to be racist. And sure enough, it's racist. I mean, the identity politics is so overwhelming, and I hope some people at least can see through it. I mean, they're talking about, the NFL's talking about during week 1 that we're going to play before the games the black national anthem. I mean, there is no such thing as the black national anthem. There's a song that they're going to play. It's a great song. It has really good meaning to it. The lyrics are fantastic. It's a beautiful song. But there's no different national anthem for each little subgroup in a country. So what are they saying? Because what they're wanting to say eventually is the actual national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, the one that's been the national anthem for the whole time any of us have ever been alive, that is the white nationalist national anthem. Watch. That's what's going to happen, that national anthem, which is for everybody, black, white, all races, all orientations, all genders, whatever. It's for everybody in the country. That is our, together, collective national anthem. And that's the point of a national anthem, is to have a unifying symbol that brings everybody together, something that we can all get behind. But they're trying so hard to divide us. And you just see, look at some of the stuff that's happened over the weekend. One of the things I want to get to is President Trump's speech, but now I'm going to kind of switch gears and go a little bit of a different direction because I started talking about that. Look at some of the stuff that has happened over the weekend. I mean, something that just happened in Atlanta, Georgia. So sad. It's unbelievably sad that Wendy's, where Rayshard Brooks was drunk and passed out in the drive-through lane and then was being in the process of being arrested, but then started violently resisting arrest and assaulting the cops, took one of their tasers, turned around and was trying to fire the taser at them, and then was shot and killed. That restaurant, which was then burned to the ground by the way, his girlfriend is the one who was throwing one of the Molotov cocktails. I don't know if you caught that little wrinkle in it. His girlfriend is one of the people who threw one of the Molotov cocktails into that Wendy's, burned that Wendy's to the ground. Well, that Wendy's is now a mecca for protesters, and they're actually trying to turn that into one of these so-called autonomous zones like they had out in Seattle. They're trying to say no police allowed around here, no people allowed around. It's nothing but a lawless anarchy where people are getting murdered and raped and other things, just like what happened in Seattle. That's what happened in that CHOP or Chaz or whatever the hip name that I'm sure some Madison Avenue marketing firm was paid to come up with. Because these people are well-financed. This revolution, this is not a revolution. This is not spontaneous, or not a revolution of the people. This is a well-financed plan being conducted by people who don't give a rat's tail about the people involved in these protests. They're just using them as a means to an end. That's all they're doing. And it's people like George Soros and the people that he's involved with, and there's a lot of other people involved in it, I'm sure, because it's not a single person who's running this. This is a group effort, but this is a planned revolution that they're trying to spark. And it may even be that they're trying to spark violence between the races, violence between the classes, because that's what all their messaging is about, is dividing people. And remember that divide and conquer. That's what the people that are really behind this revolution are doing. So even the people involved in the revolution are being used. They're not going to get the utopia that they think they're working for, or whatever their twisted little minds tell them that they're working for, whatever BS they're believing. They're not going to get that. They're going to get put up against the wall just like the rest of us and shot if you resist the ultimate power structure that they're trying to bring about. But back to Atlanta, this is what I'm talking about. This is unbelievable what happened over the weekend, but there was a lady with her daughter, and she was driving her car near this Wendy's. I don't know if you heard this story. Very sad story. Very sad story. She was driving her car near this Wendy's, and apparently something that she did in her car didn't comply with what the BLM protesters, the rioters, were telling her to do. I don't know if she turned into the parking lot and they got mad about that, or it was something like that. We don't know all the exact details, but they decided to just open fire. A couple of them opened fire into this car. Well, they shot an 8-year-old. First of all, the car's being operated by a black lady, and she's got her black daughter in the car. They shot and killed her 8-year-old daughter. Her daughter's name was Sequoia Turner. And it's such a sad story because, her father has a very similar name as well, Sequoia Williamson, who's the father of Sequoia Turner, although the spelling is somewhat different. He's out speaking about this, and I just wanted to very quickly play a short clip of what he had to say, and hopefully, because he's speaking very softly, he's obviously distraught, as any father would be about this situation. But here's what he had to say.
They say Black Lives Matter. You killed your own. Killed your own this time. Just because of barrier. They killed my baby because she crossed the barrier and made a U-turn. You killed a child. She ain't do nothing to nobody.
They didn't give us time to make a U-turn. They started shooting on my car before we could even make a U-turn. Shooting my tires out. Like, why?
But Black Lives Matter.
My baby was shot in her bed.
Killing.
He could barely even speak. It's so sad, But what he's saying is, hey, Black Lives Matter. You just killed this young black girl. For what? Because her mom turned in where they say she wasn't supposed to turn or something? Are you kidding me? I mean, this kind of stuff just... Now, why isn't the mayor of Atlanta, who says, what a tragedy, but doesn't do squat about it? Why isn't she sending in the SWAT team to break up this revolution that's going on in her own city? Why are they not going in there with force and dispersing these violent criminals, these thugs that are shooting and killing innocent people? Why? There is no answer, because the answer is half of our leaders, half of our political leaders are involved in this. Their own political futures, just like the district attorney or state's attorney out there in St. Louis, Missouri, whose campaign was funded by George Soros, who only got into office because of George Soros, just like our state attorney in Hillsborough here, Andrew Warren, whose campaign was funded by George Soros. I don't know if you know that. His campaign, the reason he beat Mark Ober, who was a very popular state attorney, who was a decent guy, was not hard on criminals, actually. This county was targeted by George Soros because we're still enacting the death penalty where appropriate. George Soros doesn't want the death penalty anywhere in this country. That's one of his things that he and his organizations. And by the way, just so it's clear, I don't think George Soros is driving the bus here. I think he is essentially a front man for other interests. I think he is what they would call in an intelligence operation a cutout. It's not the actual person running things. It's the person that's put forward as the front man to draw fire. Yeah, he's very wealthy. Yeah, he's a part of it. I know he probably agrees with it. But do I think he's the one ultimately calling all the shots? No, I think there are people in this world that have more money and more power even than George Soros. And he's working for those people. But leaving that aside, he's involved himself throughout the country in a number of state's attorney and district attorney races, including the one here in Hillsborough, which he changed the course of that race, and including the one in St. Louis where you see that district attorney or state's attorney is about to charge those people for trying to defend their home. They didn't do anything. They didn't shoot anybody. They didn't trespass on anybody's land. They didn't assault anybody. They didn't threaten anybody. They just said, hey, this is private property. Get out. And they had their guns ready because, as the guy said, the McCloskeys, as the husband said, he was concerned that the next thing was going to happen was that crowd was going to rush his house, kill him and his wife, and burn the place down. And how would you feel I mean, let me ask you this. Put aside the fact that, yeah, it looks like they live in a very nice house. By the way, the reason that they live in a very nice house and can afford to do so is because the neighborhood around that is not so nice. And St. Louis, not so nice. People don't want to live there. A lot of people have left St. Louis. Such a dangerous, crime-ridden, poorly run town. All these towns, by the way, are run by Democrats. You notice that? You noticing a pattern? The Democrats want this. Their political futures are tied up. Their financing for their campaigns are tied up with this revolutionary movement to destabilize and try to destroy America. We have so many more stories. I mean, you know, you heard the one in Seattle where the people were killed trying to block the interstate. What are you doing blocking the interstate? There's a place for a peaceful protest. The interstate is not that place. Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.